In the previous chapter, Shiryu successfully copied several skills from other beasts, and now that he completed his internship, he went straight to where the Iron Eaters were, to finally get his first contract beast. Now on to the next chapter. After taking the hellish amount of stairs, Shiryu finally reached the top. Now it's no wonder to him that this place is deserted, and to add to his surprises, a large Iron Eater has greeted him at the entrance, to which it approached him suddenly. Luckily for Shiryu, it was just a worker wearing an Iron Eater mascot, and the worker introduced her name to be Lin Xiaozhu. With this, Shiryu is wondering why can't they hire someone more normal. Then Lin Xiaozhu clarifies to Shiryu that it is just a costume so that he wouldn't be surprised, as if it wasn't obvious from the start, and Shiryu was just surprised she is wearing a costume in this time of day. So Shiryu is more curious on who in their right minds would wear a costume when it's hot outside. Therefore he asks the weird person, to which Xiaozhu explains to him that she is only doing this to understand an Iron Eater's feelings better, since she believes that someone has to better understand them to be able to breed them well. This is the most essential thing a breeder should learn. Surprisingly, Shiryu agrees to her reasons, but now that Xiaozhu got a better look at him, she remembers that he is also a breeding major, which explains why he can understand her. Shiryu tells her that her assumptions were right. However, he clarifies that he is still a novice, and that he is nothing compared to her, calling her a senior at the same time, expecting to get a discount if he did. But this kind gesture of Shiryu backfired and activated something within her, completely switching her attitude into a hustler, asking him to buy 2 of these costumes to him at a discounted price after he picks up his pet beast. With this, Shiryu had no choice but to be dragged to where Xiaozhu wanted, and now that they were inside the facility, Xiaozhu took off her costume and revealed her face. But Shiryu was not a simp, so this did not move him, and it only made him even more weirded out, because now he knows that Xiaozhu must have loved pandas a lot, to be wearing another panda sweater after that panda costume was gone, while he was hoping that she is not going to sell him the sweater as well. Luckily, her attitude changed as she let go of the costume, and so Shiryu's documents were all sorted easily. With this, Xiaozhu informed him that he should be able to pick up his pet beast today. However, he came a little too late. If he came earlier, he could have picked an Iron Eater of his choice, because currently, there's only one left in their batch of Iron Eaters. Also, the last Iron Eater's constitution and personality is slightly troublesome, which surprises Shiryu, since this is like Ash's situation in Pokemon. Now that he was briefed about the condition that he was in, they decided to go straight to where the Iron Eater was, and as they were walking toward their destination, Shiryu couldn't help but notice that the Iron Eaters really were a bunch of loafers, to which Xiaozhu explains that this isn't the season where they're active. The bigger Iron Eaters tend to be more docile right now, but the smaller ones are more lively. Soon after, they arrive at the place where the last available Iron Eater was, and looking at it afar, it looks normal to Shiryu. Unexpectedly, it smashed its head into the tree. Now Shiryu knows that maybe it is not the brightest, but before he could interact with it, Xiaozhu explained to him why it was acting that way, and that there were some complications when this cub was born. The labor didn't go smoothly, so it has a slightly weaker constitution compared to the other Iron Eater cubs, since the other cubs of his batch learned Harden when they were 1 year old, but it's the only one that has yet to pick up the skill, and being a late bloomer is a sign of a lack of talent. That's why this cub was not picked until now. That's also why it developed a personality that is unlike the others, since most of the times, Iron Eaters are gentle and rarely attack other creatures, but it was ramming itself into a tree to train itself instead. But with this, it's now exceptionally disciplined, and it trains of its own accord in the hopes of learning Harden and becoming stronger as soon as it could. This might be a rare Iron Eater with a dream and is not lazy, but it's a shame that it lacks talent. But little did she knew, this was the perfect beast for Shiryu. Therefore, excitement filled his eyes, as he asked if what he heard was right, and that this cub is untalented, and its only redeeming virtues are its determination and perseverance, to which she confirmed it. Still, she tries to convince Shiryu not to be discouraged, since it's not every day someone gets to see a disciplined Iron Eater, and the only downside of being this active is coupled with a huge appetite. But before she could even finish her sentences, Shiryu told her that he will take the Iron Eater, because in Shiryu's mind, working hard and cheating is the way forward, and he doesn't want a docile pet beast that only knows how to eat and sleep, which surprises Xiaozhu, because tamers are usually concerned about their pet beast's talents. So she even asks if he was sure about it, to which Shiryu responds that he likes hard-working beasts like this one, and he has a feeling that they will get along well together, as he asks if he could get a discount because of this. But to his dismay, Even if Shouju understands his situation, she couldn't give him a discount on the price, since they treat every Iron Eater the same here. But if he picked this cub, they can give him 1 month's supply of iron bamboo, which Shiryu didn't hesitate to accept. With this, Shouju approaches the young Iron Eater, calling it 11, and telling it that a tamer has chosen it. But unexpectedly, the Iron Eater got spirit, as it stared daggers to Shiryu instead, because it believes that an Iron Eater will never be a slave. Iron Eaters are fearless, and he can grow stronger on his own, so he doesn't need a tamer. However, Shouju had enough of his attitude, so she knocks some sense into 11, smacking him into the ground, as she explains to him that he won't have any food if he runs away, and he will learn how to harden much more quickly by becoming a tamer's pet, which means he can grow much faster. Besides, he will also gain a better environment to rest in, so it's far better than being here. With this talk, 11 only understood that she said the word food in bed, but this was enough to change his mind. Now 11 states that Iron Eaters will never be slaves and are fearless, unless food and bed are provided. With this, it was confirmed. 11 happily accepts his fate. This attitude of his only made Shiryu even more delighted, as he discerned it to be a smart one, since it's after a better environment for growth and good food. Therefore, he promised 11 that he could have anything he wanted once he became a powerful tamer. But before that, he will have to rely on this Iron Eater's efforts to make a living. With this, Shiryu asks if they can now forge the contract, to which Shouju approves of it, and she will stand guard. So without a second wasted, Shiryu activated his taming powers to start the contract. At the same time, Shouju couldn't help but be happy about 11, because he finally meets a tamer that wants him. Even though the tamers who came before think that it's untalented, she thinks differently, because the lack of inherent talent can be overcome with a good taming dimension, and this has been proven. Besides, its greatest talent is not giving up. Also, it has a hard-working personality that craves recognition. And as if fate has bound them together, a survivor of the rampage, an unwanted Iron Eater. With this combination, she is sure that 11 will certainly grow under Shiryu's care, as she wishes the two of them a better future. Finally, Shiryu successfully made a contract, but this was more exhausting than he expected, as it felt like he was being stretched thin. Unexpectedly, a warm sensation soon followed, and with this, he instantly recovered. Seeing that he was now fine, Shouju then congratulates him, and advises him to let it familiarize itself with the taming dimension. It's better not to summon and send it back too frequently for now, because if it can get used to the taming dimension quickly enough, it should be able to learn Harden within a week. And surprisingly enough, his handbook informed him that it detected the new pet beast contract, so tamer points increased, and recordable skill slots also increased. And now that he has thought of it, he has gained power from his pet's energy. That must be how Shouju managed to subdue the cub, which delighted him. Even though the cub is very weak, he still got something out of it. But his thoughts were suddenly interrupted by Shouju, concerned why he was smirking all alone. To which Shiryu explains that it's just that he somehow feels an instant improvement in his body's quality, so he is still getting used to it, which she accepted as reasons. And now that he has picked a beast, Shouju tells him they will now get the rest of the papers settled, and the other things so that he can receive the iron bamboo that she promised him. But before all that, Shiryu tells her that he has another favor to ask her, which she thought it was something horny, so she looks at him suspiciously. But to her surprise, he just asks if he can take a look around, since he wants to take good care of his Iron Eater, in order to understand the real habitat of the Iron Eaters, which delighted Shouju. So she permits him to look around, and he can also bring his Iron Eater and play with it here anytime he wants, since this is its home after all. However, she clarifies that he won't be getting any free food here, but this wasn't a concern to Shiryu, because all he wants is to touch them. 2 hours later, he leaves the breeding place, since he got what he needed, acquiring the Iron Eater's skill called Harden, so that he can teach this to 11 as soon as he could. A few moments later, Shiryu arrived at his new apartment. Luckily, it looked like the perfect place for 11's training. Even though it was old and battered, they could easily change that. So, Shiryu summons 11 in order to clean this place up together. But before they could do that, Shiryu couldn't help himself but adore this little fella's cuteness. And now that 11 is in front of him, he decides to teach him Harden first. But to his surprise, 11 already manages to use Harden, and it even explained to him that he learned that skill after having a good nap. Now Shiryu realized how much helpful the growth-promoting effect of the taming dimension is. However, he didn't expect 11 to learn the skill so soon, since Lin Shouju said that he needed 1 week to learn it. so he was proud of 11 more than ever. After that sweet interaction was done, they were about to clean up the compound, but Shiryu noticed that 11 didn't even know the word, so he decided to do it himself and try reteaching 11 Harden with the skills handbook instead, since 11's Harden should still be at the beginner level right now. Usually, to raise a low-level skills mastery from the beginner to the proficient stage, it requires at least 1 month of serious training. With this, he wonders how many days worth of mastery will one reteaching event be, and because teaching skills with the skills handbook requires stamina, he concludes that it would be best for him to try it out first with the most useless skill in the book, named Silk, and see how much stamina it requires. However, this skill cannot be taught to an Iron Eater, so he couldn't help himself but sigh as he wonders where he is supposed to look for new beasts to experiment on. Conveniently, he heard a loud rustle within the trees, so upon looking closer, he saw a cut-tongue worm, so he immediately orders 11 to catch it, while convincing 11 by explaining to him that this is his first battle after learning his skill, so that he would take it seriously, to which 11 didn't waste a second to charge at it, and just with that, 11 easily catches the worm, while the worm is having a mini heart attack seeing the demeanor of Shiryu, so it instinctively runs away for its dear life. However, there is no way that Shiryu would just stand by, since there's only a single mark on it, so it must have only learned the skill once. With this, he was determined to not let this perfect opportunity slip through his fingers, so he easily caught it again, but to his surprise, the worm still had a fight inside of it, so it didn't hesitate to give Shiryu a facial. Unfortunately for it, Shiryu was already a master on how to remove its silk, because of his 3 months of internship, so its attack was nothing for him, as he advises it to cooperate for its own good or he will feed it to that guy, who is drooling like a maniac just because it sees a free protein meal. With this, the cotton worm obeyed Shiryu as it accepted its defeat. Seeing that the silkworm was cooperating, Shiryu didn't hesitate to reteach the silk ability to it, giving it a massive boost, but unexpectedly, Shiryu suddenly felt weak, hungry, tired, and sleepy all at once, but he forgot about it as soon as he saw the cotton worm gaining its second stripe, which means he has successfully taught it. But at this moment, the experience of using silk for countless times entered the green cotton worm's consciousness, and it feels that it has become stronger. Therefore, it regained its fighting will, and without hesitations, it binds Shiryu's hands, as it attempts to run away. However, even if the threads were stronger now, there's still nothing to Shiryu, so now it realized that it could never escape from him. And because its mastery of silk has risen from the beginner level to the experienced level, Shiryu noticed that the quality of this thread, and that it is on par with the high-quality green cotton worms in the breeding base. It might be lacking in growth, but its mastery of silk is certainly the best. And what's even more surprising is that its level was raised alongside the skill mastery, which means that the green cotton worm underwent a second transformation due to its deeper understanding of the skill, or perhaps some of his power was channeled into it when he taught it the skill. Either way, the experiment was a success. Still, Shiryu had some stamina left, so he wondered if he could teach it some other skill. Surprisingly, there was a cooldown on all his skills, but it was understandable, since he might have been able to withstand the stamina consumption just now, but using it without restraint will burn him out, so a cooldown of 8 hours might be a protective mechanism, which he might only be able to recover after having a meal and a good night's rest. With this, he concludes that he has to train his body if he wants to use this skills handbook to its full potential, because if teaching a level-less skill requires 8 hours of recovery, teaching a low-level skill might need 1 or 2 days, while the middle and high-level skills might drain him if he doesn't prepare well. Now he wonders if there are food or supplements that can shorten the recovery period, so that he could be able to restore his condition swiftly after teaching a skill, because even pet beasts have supplements. Surely there are supplements for tamers as well. But seeing that it's getting late, he tells 11 that he will prepare the dinner, and it's going to be bamboo shoots with sliced pork and rice, which makes 11 drool even more. And with that, Shiryu decides to leave, as he advises 11 to have some rest for now, and he will call him when dinner is ready. Surprisingly, 11 doesn't want to rest, since he has finally learned Harden, and he is way too far behind his batch mates, so he wants to train right away. With this, Shiryu realized that Lin Shouju was right. Something is wrong with this Iron Eater. It feels that it's unworthy of dinner if it didn't train, and even though he tells 11 that there's no need to be in such a hurry, 11 was furiously shaking its head instead. So without choice, he permits it to practice his Harden in the courtyard while he waits, which it appreciates his decisions. However, There isn't anything 11 can use to train here. But to his surprise, 11 suggests to punch the wall, to which Shiryu didn't approve, so he advises him to practice activating, maintaining, and releasing the skill for now, and try to harden a specific body part within the shortest time possible, and it can practice the other techniques later, since he can't let it go around destroying things right away. It's disciplined, but it's driving him nuts, so he set his mind to buy training equipment for it soon, which he was reminded that he needs money to do that, but now it was not a problem to him, since he can raise the green cotton worm, and if its silk is of good quality, he can sell it for a good price. After all it needs to eat for now are ordinary leaves. With this, he decides to look after both of them. And once its silk reaches the perfect mastery level, it will surely be of good quality. Now, Shiryu's eyes are filled with excitement, because selling its silk will definitely help lighten his financial burden. A few moments later, they finish their food, and 11 is finally sleeping from all the exertion. But Shiryu couldn't help himself but be proud of it, since it won't eat unless it trained, and it even insisted on training after its meal. But now that he thinks about it, 11 might just be worried that he will be abandoned again if he is not working hard enough. So even though 11 is sleeping, Shiryu assures 11 that he won't abandon him no matter what. With that, Shiryu unsummons 11 to have some rest in the taming dimension. But now that he was alone, he has now got the time to think about why he was this broke. He doesn't even have a cell phone or a computer. So now he regrets returning 11 to the taming dimension, and thinking about it further, he realized that he missed an opportunity to use a panda as a pillow. The next day, the green cotton worm has now the ability to use its silk to take the leaves out of the tree without leaving its cage. But its meal was suddenly interrupted by Shiryu aggressively shouting his lungs out. And he was like this because he has finally recovered, and the cooldown period is over, so he can now try teaching Harden today. But before that, there should be supplements that he is looking for at the 100 Herbs Hall, as he decides that 11 can sleep in today, and that he will let him out after he is done with his shopping. And before he leaves, he approaches the worm and says hi to it. With this, he notices the leaves it collected, so it seems that this green cotton worm sure is carefree. And come to think of it, this worm is unusual as well, since the other worms would usually head toward more nutritious plants for their growth and evolution. But this guy didn't seem to care at all, as it ate the leaves of the untended persimmon tree, and it's no wonder that it was malnourished. If he hadn't taught it silk with his skills handbook, it would never be able to undergo a second transformation at all. With this realization, he decides to pick some leaves from the ordinary plants on his way home to improve its diet, since he still can't afford to buy the spiritual plants and fruits that are being fed upon by the green cotton worms in the breeding base. Luckily, there's an endless supply of ordinary plant leaves everywhere, and it's his important silk supplier, so there is no reason to let it die on him now. Soon after, he was now at the center of a bustling city, where things had changed considerably compared to the scenes in his memories, and so he was surprised to see an eco-friendly way to travel, and because of it, there was no pollution at all. But he feels sorry for the dogs though. Suddenly Shiryu noticed a gemstone cat that seemed to be running away from its owner, as he wondered if she was the one walking the cat, or if the cat was the one who was walking her, since pet beasts aren't usually that feisty. So he reckons that she's not a tamer, and the two of them must not have a contract. And the gemstone cats are only kept as pets, since the optical skills of gemstone cats have to be activated and evolved by using different cat's eye gemstones. And cat's eye gemstones are more expensive than gemstone cats themselves, so a gemstone cat without a gemstone can only be kept as a pet. But a gemstone cat with a gemstone, on the other hand, is a much sought-after beast. A few moments later, Shiryu has now arrived at his destination, so after he went inside, a man welcomed him. Therefore Shiryu didn't hesitate to inquire if they were buying silk, to which the man responded that they do, but only those produced by green cotton worms on a diet of specific herbs, and if it's high-grade silk and passes the composition test, they can purchase it from him directly. The man then gives him a purchasing guide in which the list of herbs can be found, in order to guide Shiryu on what diet the cotton worm should eat, which Shiryu accepts gladly. He was determined to do this, because considering his inheritance, financial assistance, and his monthly loan repayment, he can only support himself and the Iron Eater for another year, and if he can't become a professional tamer within a year, he will have to work a regular job at the breeding base, so he won't be able to afford the Iron Eater as well. However, he can earn money by selling silk, and if he can improve the green cotton worm silk to perfect level quality, he will be able to support the Iron Eater and even achieve financial freedom. And because he was inquiring about this, The man assumes that he was now interested in selling silk, to which Shiryu tells him that it was not the case, and that he is just here to have 2 vials of that medicine he was pointing at, which confused the man because this mofo just wasted his time. Still, he gave Shiryu what he needed since he was a customer. After a few moments more, Shiryu finally returned to his house. He was this tired because he was broke as fuck, and couldn't even pay to get on a bus without a cell phone, so he decided to get himself one once he had some money. After he was done resting, he went inside to put all the things he acquired. The medicine that he bought is a clearing capsule, and they seem to be made from several kinds of plant-type transcendent beasts. Clearing capsules are mainly used to relieve fatigue and strengthen one's body. The user can remain conscious and calm even when they are weak, and it's said to be effective. So tamers would take one after a battle, and the user will instantly feel refreshed because of it. However, he can't take the capsules like they're candy with his current financial situation, but with this, he can lighten the toll of using the handbook on his body. So now that he was prepared, he summoned 11, which he noticed that it looked to be in higher spirits than before, so he concluded that it must be the effects of the taming dimension. Expectedly, 11 was ready to train for 6 hours right now, but Shiryu told him not to be in such a hurry to train, and that he should strike a balance between work and play, to which 11 was confused why his master was adamant about stopping him from training all day. But little did he know, it is because the energy it absorbs from the taming dimension comes partly from its tamer. On top of that, Shiryu has to meditate to strengthen the taming dimension, and he has to use the skills handbook. With this, he could only sigh as he realized having a disciplined pet beast early on doesn't seem to be a good thing at all. So he was set on teaching 11 absolute slumber soon, since he believes that a mature Iron Eater should learn how to deal with its own fatigue after a training session. While 11 is furiously shaking its head, showing Shiryu that it doesn't agree with his decision, because it wants to train. So in order to calm 11 down, Shiryu tells it that it can train all he wants after he teaches it absolute slumber, to which it happily agrees with him. Still, right now, he will try teaching him Harden. So without a second wasted, Shiryu used his handbook and reteach the Harden skill to 11. With this, Shiryu realized that the exertion of teaching Silk and Harden is about the same. Unlike what he half expected to be knocked out from the ordeal, this is still manageable, but he does feel weakened, so it is a good thing that he has the medicine. With this, he felt much better. Now that his main problem was settled, he noticed 11's condition, which delighted him, since 11 is looking more powerful than ever, and it seems to level up just like the cotton worm did. 11 excitedly activated his Harden and used it on the ground, shocking Shiryu through his core, because his broke ass couldn't handle it. So he asked what is he doing, to which 11 was surprised at the same time, seeing what he managed to do to the pavement, which Shiryu explains to him that it was expected, since his mastery of Harden is at the experienced level now, and his combat powers must be several-fold greater than what it was now. With this sudden change in his body, he inquired what his tamer do to him, to which Shiryu was delighted now that his pet knew how amazing he was, as he asked if he is still in a hurry to train now. However, 11 did not answer his questions, because he was bothered that he did nothing, yet his Harden was much improved. This is unbelievable, so this mastery level doesn't sit well with him, but this attitude of his instantly change, after knowing Shiryu have used half of his stamina just to give him that boost, so he decides to keep it. Even if he has not earned the mastery level through his own hard work, he can make up for it, as he decides to train for 24 hours intensively without rest, to punish himself for gaining that mastery without effort, which surprised Shiryu, as he wonders just how disciplined can 11 be, and if the artists of the comics he was reading in his previous life were half as disciplined as 11 were, he wouldn't have run out of books to read, as he wished for 11 to show some restraint, because 24 hours of intensive training won't take him from the beginner level to the experienced level, it will only take him to the grave. At a later time, 11 is now doing his daily training, while he is always reminded by a sign in front of him, telling him not to hammer the floor, which he obediently avoid, while Shiryu is sitting on the side, looking at his handbook. And now that he can deal with the loss of stamina, the cooldown is now his problem, since it has become much longer. In other words, he has to wait another day before he can teach skills. Still, 11's Harden is now at the experienced level, so its maintenance and stability are much improved. He can maintain it for 30 seconds now, and the speed of activation and release has improved as well. So the main focus of 11's training now is to swiftly activate Harden, and harden multiple body parts at the same time. If it can do that, the skill can be used to attack and defend in battle, And Shiryu is not asking 11 to work on the strength of the skill for now, since it will probably destroy their house, and training equipment will be needed for that, but they will cost a lot. And since he can't help 11 now, he might as well see if there are any other reasonably priced alternative training methods out there. So he left their house, while in deep thought, thinking about how fortunate of him that 11's always training hard, but this is also putting a greater strain on his taming dimension. With this, he remembers the 3 elements of the taming dimension. First is the strength determining the binding intensity of the taming dimension. It's suitable for tamers who keep exchanging weaker pet beasts for stronger ones. Second, the scale of the dimension determines how many pet beasts the tamer can enter into a contract with. It's suitable for tamers who favor a battle of numbers. Third, the dimension's environment. It will determine the efficiency of the pet beast's processing of dietary nutrition and battle experience. Which means, the better the environment, the faster the pet beast will grow. So judging by his current situation, he should be focusing on improving his dimension's environment. Since 11 was born in a breeding base, it's unlike other wild beasts, so he doesn't have to worry about the binding intensity of his taming dimension. And Shiryu is not planning on having a second pet beast anytime soon, so there's no need to be worried about the scale of his taming dimension as well. So his current priority is to build a more comfortable environment for the Iron Eater. And after teaching it absolute slumber, 11 can train all at once, and it won't put a strain on his stamina. Coupled with 11's discipline, his taming dimension, and the support of the skills handbook, as long as it can get enough nutrition, Shiryu is sure that it will grow rapidly. However, the cost of buying food for it will probably skyrocket as well. But Shiryu did not let this bother him further, since he believes that everything will be worth it if 11 can become a dependable combat power. The next day, Shiryu is working hard as always, meditating outside their house. With this effort of his, he is almost done modifying his taming dimension, and 11 can move in once it's done with its training. Luckily, 11 is as disciplined as always, and he will be able to work on the strength of his harden starting tomorrow. The next day, Shiryu's packages finally arrived. With this, he received the durable alloy steel boards he had ordered 2 days ago. After they left, Shiryu summons 11. Suddenly he noticed that something felt different about the summoning today. And to his surprise, 11 has a new drip, so it seems that 11 has risen to the 4th transformation. With this, Shiryu realized that it was the right choice that he improves the taming dimension's environment first, and that he is one step closer to becoming a professional tamer. And Shiryu didn't forget to praise 11 for a job well done, and as a reward, he stated that he would buy something delicious today and could have it as an extra menu item to celebrate his achievement, which delighted him so. But before that, Shiryu tells 11 that he can now start working on the strength of his harden. Even if this wasn't a suitable environment for 11 to test the strength of his harden, he bought something for him. But to his surprise, even before he could finish his statements, 11 points his cheeks toward Shiryu, asking Shiryu to hit him with hard items to test his strength, to which Shiryu refused, since he can't bring himself to hit 11, and he knows that he will be the one who will go numb from the impact, and that's also too inefficient. Besides, he has made preparations for 11, showing him the durable alloy steel boards, because he can't have him hammering the walls, but he can hammer these, and if he thinks that he is not hard enough or that the effects of the training aren't noticeable, he can stack more boards on top of each other on the floor. Then, use gravity to support your training, either from the top of the tree or at the top of the roof. He can harden his entire body and charge toward the boards as much as he likes, which Shiryu proudly called his training by falling. And he can also adjust the intensity of the training by adjusting the height of his starting point. And this is much better than him hitting 11 with a stick. And if he can jump from the clouds and land without a scratch, he will be invincible. To which 11 happily clings on Shiryu, to express how delighted it felt, and now knowing how genius his tamer was. With this, a few days have passed in a blink of an eye, and now, 11 is bodying the durable alloy steel boards, making it look not so durable at all, as it broke into pieces. And even if 11 has sustained damages with him breaking this steel board, it wasn't a problem to him, since he can use quick heal on himself. With this, his conditions were good as new, so he continues his training without any problems, while Shiryu couldn't help himself but smirk, since the training with the alloy steel boards is going well, and 11's harden was now at the proficient level. And the boards can be used to train the strength of its harden, while it can also serve as 11's food, since he can now chew on and digest metals. And at the same time, the green cotton worm has undergone its 4th transformation, and it has also reached the proficient level with silk. so the durability of the thread is comparable to fishing lines, and it can use the threads as extensions of its own body now. With this, he is looking forward to the worm's growth, and it's thanks to these supplements that he can manage to train 11 and the green cotton worm simultaneously. And Shiryu feels an improvement in his body's constitution every time he recovers from the fatigue of using the skills handbook. It's just like the fatigue from working out, so he still has some energy to spare to go out of his house. And seeing 11 train, he was reminded about the skill mastery levels, which range from beginner, experienced, proficient, perfect, and flawless. And 11's hardened is now at the proficient level. It's also at level 5. With this, it can now achieve a fluid coverage with its harden, while the green cotton worm silk is now at the proficient level. It's also at level 4. With this, Shiryu discern that it's the right time to see the results of the training, so he tells 11 to take a break, because he will need the energy for his actual combat, which invigorates 11's fighting spirit. And they are going to do this, since there are 3 undisputed means to make a pet beast grow, which are food, training, and combat. But it doesn't have to be a life or death battle at this stage. What 11 needs now is a regulated battle against an opponent of similar strength in a reputable center, because sure, you won't risk 11's life, and it's better to develop steadily with the help of the skills handbook. And looking at his location, the forest is so far away, so he can't even venture into the wilderness and battle wild creatures. And to become a professional tamer, he has to pass the basic examination, actual combat examination, and survival examination. But he decides to deal with the survival trials when the time comes, since it's still too risky for them now, and he can just join the Tamers Association's wilderness training if he wants to experience battling in the wild, and it will be safer with professionals around. A few moments later, Shiryu have arrived at the entrance of the Tamers Battle Gym, so without wasting another second, he went straight to register for a battle. But since it was his first time here, he asks her if she could give him a tour of the place, to which she gladly did, explaining to him that they provide battle venues for beasts below the transcendent rank, and he can choose to have an arranged battle or a random battle here. An arranged battle is one where the tamer picks their opponent, and the gym will provide the venue, a referee, and medical services, while, in a random battle, they will randomly assign an opponent to the tamer based on the information the tamer provides them. The other services will also be provided. And there are 2 categories in the random battle mode, which are levels 1 to 6 and levels 7 to 10. These are grouped based on the levels of the tamer's beasts. So they will assign the tamer to a suitable level and randomly pick an opponent for them based on their pet beast's level. The fee for using the gym services is the same across the board. It's $100 per person, which surprises Shiryu, because it is expensive for his standards, since he can feed himself for 3 days with that money. But considering the costs for the maintenance, referees, and medical services, it seems to be a reasonable price, and the fees might be higher if the government isn't supporting gyms like this one. And what surprises him even more is that there's also a gambling battle, in which the opponents may place bets and the loser will pay the fee for both participants. In other words, the loser will pay $200 while the winner won't have to pay a single penny. Upon hearing this, money filled his mind, so without hesitations, Shiryu told the worker that he would go with the gamble battle of level 6 and below. He was sure of his decision since 11 was currently at level 5. With its proficient harden and quick heal, they might even stand a chance against a level 6 beast. He even feels sorry for their opponent, but he has to do this to save money. And also, he won't have any complaints if he loses. So, he hopes he will get a weak opponent, but not too weak as well. Seeing how energetic Shiryu was, the worker gave him a form to fill in. So after Shiryu finished writing his information, he asked the most important question that lingers in his mind, and that is if he could increase the stakes of the gamble, because he might as well go all out with this. But unfortunately, they don't do that here, which disappoints Shiryu, because that's one less avenue to make money. The worker then gives him his card, and asks him to wait for his turn in the lobby. His name and the battle venue will be displayed on the screen when an opponent is assigned to him, which he leaves after thanking the worker. Meanwhile, another tamer has also registered in the random battle mode. He is named Chinkai, and he is here since his classmates are too weak for him, so he knows that he will never make it as a tamer in that environment. But this battle gym has no age or level restrictions, so it was a perfect place for him to learn from intern tamers. That being said, he is a top student, so he believes that it's impossible for him to lose. A few moments later, both of their names were called, and they had to fight in arena number 11, in which Shiryu was delighted because it was a lucky number for him, just like his beast's name. and this is a home field battle for him, so he enters the arena in high spirit. Surprisingly, Chinkai walked past him. With this, they got a good look on what their opponent looks like. Soon after, they arrived at the center of the arena, and before the match started, the referee introduced himself and stated their temporary rights to use Arena 11 for an hour. After that, the referee declared the battle to start, so without a second wasted, Shiryu summoned his Iron Eater, 11, and Chinkai did the same, summoning his own beast, an Ice Armadillo. At the same time, their battle is broadcasted throughout the gym, which caught the attention of many since it's the Battle of Novices. Coincidentally, a girl named Yue, who is a classmate of Chinkai, is also witnessing their battle, and it seems like Yue is holding Chinkai in high regards, because she can't hold a candle to him. In fact, nobody in their entire grade is a match for him, since his Ice Armadillo is a level 6 beast, and it has also reached the experienced level for both its skills, and because her pet beast is an Iron Eater also. Judging from her experience with this peculiar beasts, that Iron Eater should be lower than level 6, so she thinks Chinkai's opponent is going to lose, because it would have a hard time breaking the ice armor unless it has mastered hardened to the experienced level. Besides, Iron Eaters are known slackers, so Iron Eaters of this level usually only master hardened to the beginner level, and if she had another choice, she would never pick the Iron Eater just because it looks cute, since this pet beast is too lazy as fuck, so it's such a pain to train it. And it might not even be a match for the Ice Armadillo since the Ice Armadillo's skills are at the experienced level. However, in terms of overall qualities, adult Iron Eaters are better than Ice Armadillos, but that's when they're adults. This Iron Eater is clearly a cub. Now that the side character was done explaining, Chinkai commanded his beast to use Icy Slash, which it showed its explosive strength. Even the referee was amazed by it, as expected of a student from an elite school. But to their surprise, just with 11's harden, its Icy Slash shattered into pieces. With this, 11 has the chance to counter, so he didn't waste it. Still, the Armadillo has a few tricks up in its sleeves, so it uses its ice armor to block the attack. However, with 11's harden coupled with gravity, his armor just shattered like glass, so 11's attack went through, knocking the Armadillo into the wall, shocking Chinkai immensely. While Shiryu was delighted of this outcome, since the performance of Harden in actual combat has exceeded his expectations. If he knew that this would happen, he wouldn't have inspired 11's fighting spirits with its dinner, and it even surprises him that the match is over already, since this isn't what he expected when he signed up for a battle against an evenly matched opponent. With this, he decides to look for a stronger opponent after this, to further test 11's strength. At the same time, the referee couldn't believe what happened, seeing Harden at the proficient level by a young level 5 Iron Eater. Even Yue was shocked because of this, making her disown Chinkai as her classmate, while she was intrigued of the identity of Chinkai's opponent, since it's unbelievable for a level 5 Iron Eater to master Harden to the proficient level, so she wonders if the beasts have an amazing talent, or if that tamer is actually a high-ranking tamer who's training a new pet beast. It's either that, or he's from a rich family or a family of tamers with top-grade supplements or unique training methods, as she hopes that this won't break Chinkai's spirit. Meanwhile, Chinkai was in shock about what happened, and upon looking at that Iron Eater again, who is happily waving at him, he realized that society is full of monsters, and the school is the only place for him, while 11 is happily posing because he saw his efforts of waking up at 4 AM to touch a steel board come into fruition. After that, the referee declared Shiryu and 11 to be the winner, which delighted them immensely. Shiryu unsummoned 11 to have its well-deserved rest. Suddenly, Chinkai interacted with Shiryu, asking him if he was also a tamer from Pingcheng, or perhaps a student. He didn't mean to be rude, he just wanted to know who he lost to, since his strength was unbelievable. Luckily, Shiryu didn't mind his questions, so he tells him who he was, and states that he graduated in Glacier City, which surprises Chinkai, since Pingcheng District is only the suburbs of Glacier City, so it's only natural that the educational quality is lower than that of the city. Therefore, some students with outstanding academic achievements would do all they can to enroll in schools in the city, while he is an outstanding student in Pingcheng. Compared to a student from the city, he is nothing. Still, he can't quite understand the difference between them, so he assumes that Shiryu must be one of the most outstanding young tamers in the city. With this, he realized that there is always someone better than him, so he decided to work harder. But as soon as Shiryu left the place, Chinkai realized something didn't add up about what Shiryu had said. since he was also going to graduate soon, and graduation was 1 month away. But Shiryu said that he graduated recently. The referee noticed that Shinkai was referring to the graduation timing of the battle major, so he clarifies that the other majors such as referee, medical, and breeding have graduates sooner due to their internships and job placements. This shocked him immensely, because the one that defeated him wasn't even a battle major. And to add to his troubles, the referee reminds him that his ice armadillo needs treatment, and also, this was a gambling battle, so he will have to pay for his opponent's fees. Meanwhile, Shiryu was surprised that he couldn't challenge opponents of a higher level, to which the worker reminded him that those are the rules. Tamers will be grouped according to the levels of their pet beasts, and this is because his opponent might not want to battle someone weaker than them, which disappoints him, since he knows that everyone already saw the battle he just easily won with his Iron Eater. That has a combat enhancement of the proficient level Harden, so it will be difficult for him to find a match unless it's someone from the level 7 to 10 category. But this wasn't a dead end, as the worker suggested that he could choose to battle someone he knows, and he could rent an arena, and they would provide him with the other services. Unfortunately, Shiryu was an introvert, so he didn't even know where to look for an opponent, and he doesn't know anyone there. Therefore, he just thanked the worker and left the place to head towards the Tamers Association, since it also serves the role of accepting and announcing missions with rewards, in which the Tamers can take on missions there and be rewarded once they're completed. And the list of missions has already been curated for intern Tamers, so Tamers will be put to the test in these missions. It is similar to the wilderness training organized once every 3 months by the Tamers Association in Pingcheng for intern Tamers, and these programs are meant to train local intern Tamers, since every city wants to have more professional Tamers that are also capable. This means missions and wilderness training sessions are meant to help intern Tamers build their foundations, while missions below the transcendent rank are focused on training Tamers and their pet beasts. Mainly, they are meant to provide training venues for the intern Tamers, so missions like those are tiring and unrewarding. He might be able to earn more by having his pet beasts transport bricks, but it's more important to find a suitable opponent from these missions than earning money. Even if he can't find a suitable opponent, he can still find missions suitable for 11's training. Shiryu is adamant about doing this, because he considers 11's mental and physical health, so he can't let it train at home all the time, since having him jump off a building day after day will certainly mess with his mind. And he noticed that 11 was clearly delighted after the battle. With this, he went ahead and looked at the 1-star mission first. However, this just surprised him at best, because it is a mission that requires him to catch organized stray cats that became a thief syndicate. But considering the intelligence levels of some transcended beasts, it's entirely possible for them to form a syndicate, so it made sure you wonder what they stole instead. And he passed on this quest because of how absurd it was, as he went over to the next mission. But to his dismay, the mission was searching for a wind-type pet for a sparring buddy, so he also passes on it. With this, an hour has passed by already, but Shiryu hasn't decided on what mission he would take, since none of them are suitable for 11. And some of the missions are clearly aiming to hire tamers as cheap labor, like the capturing of live wind locusts mission for example, which a local restaurant issued it. Even though wind locusts are transcendent beasts, they are agricultural pests, and they are also a delicacy, and it's cheaper for them to procure locusts in this way, rather than purchasing them from the breeders. The only disadvantage is that it's less efficient this way, but this is clearly not an urgent mission with a time limit, so this mission seems suitable. But 11 can't fly, which means it will be difficult for him to complete this mission, because wind locusts can use the skill Wind Wing. Also, they're fast and nimble, while 11 could only harden its entire body to deal with the ice armadillo's swift attack, and 11's reaction speed and eyesight will prove disadvantageous against swift and nimble opponents. Surprisingly, with this, Shiryu realized that he should teach 11 Super Sight next time, because an Iron Eater's explosive strength coupled with Super Sight that enables it to precisely pinpoint its opponent's attacks will definitely improve 11's combat strength. And after teaching 11 Super Sight, he can let it take on this mission to train its reflexes, so he looks at the next mission with high hopes. Luckily, this mission seems to be more suitable at the moment, since Earth Rats are at the bottom of the pet beast world, and their race skill is Earth Escape, which only enables them to escape underground. And in terms of combat strength, Earth rats are on par with stray dogs, so adults can even take them on with a weapon in hand. However, Earth rats reproduce quickly, so there's usually too many of them. Also, they are nimble and would band together when under threat. So the threat of the rats cannot be judged based on their levels alone. Fortunately, their usual course of action is to escape whenever they encounter another creature, unless they have no other choice. Otherwise, they would have been a greater nuisance. Even so, they're worse than wind locusts. They're referred to as one of the 4 great pests. Even if there are fewer of them in the city, they are abundant in the villages, and it's difficult to get rid of them completely, giving everyone a headache. So several villages in Pingqing district collectively issue the Earth Rat Extermination Mission. It's a long-term mission. Tamers would form parties and go exterminate the rats every day. With this, Shiryu chose to take this mission, even though exterminating Earth rats might not be easier than capturing wind locusts alive. This might be a good opportunity to train Eleven's reflexes, since Eleven will have to locate the Earth rats and take them out before they escape. Just like in the game Whack-a-Mole, Shiryu believes that this is for the better, since Eleven's hardened is already at the proficient level, so it's the right time to work on something else for a change. Coincidentally, Chinkaya was also there, so he interacted with him without hesitations. While Chinkaya was wondering what kind of missions would an elite like Shiryu take on, so he asked Shiryu in order to learn from his choices. But to his surprise, it was exterminating moles, which Shiryu will be doing it all on his own. This reaction of his confused Shiryu, so he asks him what the problem was, to which he explained that people usually take on this mission as a group, since Earth rats are cunning. Hence, it's easier to take them out when working with others. As he finished explaining, he noticed the opportunity to be with this expert, so he didn't hesitate to ask if he could form a party with him, which weirded out Shiryu, because to his knowledge, he is not a beautiful lady, and he destroyed Chinkai in their last battle, so he believes that there is no reason for him to do this. Therefore he tried to decline his offer in a kindly manner, telling him that the two of them won't make that much of a difference. But Chinkai was dense as fuck, so he didn't catch on the message Shiryu was telling him. And because Chinkaya was also adamant in joining, so he states that he will ask 2 of his classmates to join them, so one of them can stall the rats, while others will attack. This way it will be more efficient, to which Shiryu thinks that it was an overkill. So Chinkai clarifies that a handful of Earth rats are nothing to be afraid of, but if they gather in huge numbers it will be a pain to deal with them. Therefore, Shiryu realized that it might not be a bad idea to form a party. Also, he can't be a recluse forever, so he accepts Chinkai's proposal to be a standard 4-member party, which made Chinkai excited, since all he wanted is to see how Shiryu trains his pet beast, just how well he can train a lazy iron eater. At a later time, Shiryu returns to the 100 Herbs Hall, which surprises the worker, since this is his 3rd visit this month, as he wonders what he's doing for a living. At the same time, Shiryu notices the suspicion on the worker's face, so he reasons out that his pet beast has been training and battling a lot lately, and he has always had a frail physique since young, so he needs the pill. But the worker didn't buy his bullshit. However, he still gave Shiryu the supplements he asked for, since Shiryu was his best client, while Shiryu is now contemplating switching to another supplier to protect his reputation. A few moments later, Shiryu and Eleven are eating like crazy. After that, they are full of energy, so Shiryu immediately commands Eleven to come closer to him, because it's time for him to learn a new skill, which disheartened Eleven. After all, he has always wanted to say that he is strong because of his own hard work. However, he can never bring himself to say that right now, as Shiryu is teaching him super sight, which he can activate it by using mental energy. With this, his eyesight should be boosted, and he should be able to see clearly at night. So after Shiryu was done, Eleven went out to see how effective his new skill was, and to his surprise, the skill was super effective, which delighted him so, because now, it would be easier for him to train at night. With this, he will make up for all the slacking off he has been doing. Meanwhile, Shiryu was shocked that his skill handbook now had a 48 hours cooldown, but seeing Eleven with such a high spirit, he decided not to mind it and just focus on recovering, as he hoped Eleven wouldn't be crashing onto steel boards tonight so that he can get a good night's rest. Meanwhile, at Chinkai's residence, Chinkai was chatting with his classmates, asking to join him in taking on the Earth Rat mission tomorrow. But to his surprise, Shuangyu replies to him, saying that she saw him at the arena. which made him spit out his drink. With this, he panically replied back, feigning ignorance. Unfortunately for him, US saw everything. Now Chinkai realized that his reputation is ruined, because if she really saw exactly what happened to him at the arena, this means that all the girls in class will know about it as well. And this also means that the entire class will know that he was defeated by a random guy. And to add more to his surprises, Yue was inquiring if he knows who that tamer was, because she is thinking of getting some Iron Eater rearing tips from him. But he left too early and she couldn't catch up to him. To which Chinkai responds that she has come to the right person, since they are in need of 2 members, as he asks Yue to find another tamer with a control-type pet beast, because they have enough attacking power already. The next day, they met up at their designated meeting place. However, Shiryu was deprived of sleep, not because of 11, since he did do him the favor of sleeping last night, but because the after effects of skill teaching were too strong. And as they are wondering where the others were, they coincidentally arrived, greeting them casually. So Chinkai introduced them to Shiryu as Xuan Yue, his classmate, and the other girl who was Yue's friend, a tamer from the experimental middle school, Yu Jingjing, to which Shiryu politely says hello to them. But surprisingly, Shiryu already rizzed them up, as the girls are already calling him master, which confuses him because to his knowledge he didn't do anything. So Chinkai explains to him why, telling him that they witnessed their match yesterday. Now that is settled, Chinkai tells them to introduce their beast. So they do just that. Chinkai with his ice armadillo, Yue with her level 6 Iron Eater, that is hardened at the beginner level, which she was ashamed of since Shiryu's Iron Eater already surpassed hers in terms of skill level, and Jingjing's level 6 Brambles, which has entangles at the experienced level, and lastly, Shiryu's level 5 Iron Eater, that has a harden at the proficient level, which they couldn't imagine how it was possible. While Shiryu noticed how dumbfounded his teammates were about his pet beast, but he is sure that their question will be answered once they see how hard-working 11 is. With that, they all register themselves for the mission, to depart at 8 AM sharp.